All right, so first we'll go over kind of the weekly forecast here, kind of mix them all together. Um, but we'll go over that and then we'll go over the daily recap today to show you guys what I specifically was looking at. All right, and and yeah, so let's get started here. So this is where we're at. Okay, we're at all-time highs, obviously. Okay, and last week I was calling out the median threshold of this order block for a bit. You got to close above it. There's a lot of low resistance here that'll just wipe through all of that buy side, and then eventually hit all-time highs, which is exactly what we did. Okay. I did want to see lower before we went higher, and we just didn't get that. That's why I mentioned to watch for that close on this daily order block. Okay. So going down to the 4 hour here, I'm gonna have both of these open. Let me get rid of this here. This is pretty old, but I'm gonna focus on NQ since that's what we traded today in the live session with Quant, um, with the executions and all that stuff. So we're just gonna focus on NQ here, and then eventually we'll go down. We'll take a look at ES as well. So we have pushed up again all that buy side, taking that out. And what I wanted to see, so this is Friday's session down into this 4 hour busy. Okay, so this is what I usually always do, is I always make sure to take a look at the higher time frame and then I go down to the lower one. So this is a top down analysis. All right, and it's important to keep in mind of the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour when you're trading to see where price is headed to and where price wants to go. So last week, I did grab a little manipulation here. This leg here, this swing low and high. That was the last swing low there. And we mentioned how this standard deviation here aligns with this high over here. And what I wanted to see was I wanted to see if we could head to this area up here. So 19076 is what I mentioned. Okay. We did tap our head here on the negative 1.5 based on this deviation here. Okay, so if I draw this here really quick, let's try to get it as accurate as we can. Kind of tapped our head on it, almost, very close. Okay, and as long as we respect these bullish PDRAs, obviously we'll see that move higher and a continuation higher. Okay. Another thing to mark here is we do have a 4 hour BSC right over here. All right, and if you are bullish, you would want to see this area hold. Okay, and if you take a look at ES here, there is a 4 hour volume balance that we've already wicked into a couple times. There is a inversion here. Okay, very tiny, a SIBI inversion that we've also wicked into. So keeping an eye on that as well. And there are equal highs here on ES. Okay. I want to see these equal highs be taken. We didn't get it this session, and I mentioned it during our live tape reading today that I wanted to see those equal highs. Excuse me. And we didn't really get to that because I believe we were kind of targeting those the 6 o'clock highs for Monday, and then we just kind of went up, left those equal highs, came back down. Okay. And this resulted in a little SMT for the session, which we'll get to in a bit. Okay. So the hourly, same thing here. Essentially, we still want to see these equal highs here on ES. I want to see NQ push up. Want to see this hourly fair value gap be respected as well, right? If you are bullish, you want to see continuation to that deviation past this and here. And usually, what I like doing is I also like taking half of this deviation, and this is a target that you would want to look for. And is this a new update? What is this? That is a new update. What in the world? I don't know if I've ever seen this. You can just add text here. That's cool. Okay. I haven't seen that. I guess that's new. I don't know. Anyways, so that's the target we're looking for being overall bullish. We've respected that 4 hour fair value gap, wicked in that area, push up, displacement over here, we have a fair value gap, and so forth. Okay. So now onto the 15-minute chart over here. Okay, so a couple things I want to point out. This here, let me just mark these levels here for you guys really quick, just so you guys can see it with ease, and also just makes everything easier. So last week, didn't talk about this much, but we did head into that new week opening gap here, and there was a new week opening gap here where we had that wick, and this wick was the bottom of that 4-hour fair value gap. And then we had a huge move up, closed that SIBI right over here on the 15-minute. Excuse me, my phone is going off. And eventually we head up, tick all this buy side, and went for those all-time highs again. Okay. Now, one thing I want you guys to take a look at here for today's session is why new week opening gaps are super important and crucial. So I was looking at ES specifically, much cleaner new week opening gap as compared to NQ. That's like a one tick new week opening gap here. But we also have that 15-minute BISI right over here. Okay, now there's a reason why I'm marking these, and it is because I was up last night watching Asia and London session, and I wanted to see a move down into that new week opening gap before pushing up. Okay, sadly we did get the move right at 9:30 opening, and it pushed all the way up to this high over here. Not quite yet right at 9:30, but a little after that we eventually got that high, which we talked about in the live executions today, right? And the reason why I wanted that move down is because there is a void here, right? That new week opening gap, there is a void and a new week opening gap. So they're two different things, all right? So new week opening gap, we need a trade into it, all right? Especially if it's larger, similar to this one here. This is a very old one, but nonetheless, we still refer to that algorithmically, okay? We ran through this here on ES, the new week opening gap, went up to it, right into discount where there's PD arrays as well as that new week opening gap, push back up. We left this new week opening gap open until the Big Ben model for digital time theory pushes right down into this area here. Then at 9:30 you get that push up from where? That new week opening gap. All right. So let's go to the 5-minute here. All right. So a lot of people ask in the quant group, and I think everybody in general should know this. Okay. So some important things here. We push up right at 9:30, huge explosive move. I was hoping that this wouldn't happen just so I could catch easy long to buy side. All right. There's a lot of buy side here. You have an inefficiency here or imbalance, and a low resistance buy side here as well, which we just ran through all of that and headed to that high. Now, a couple important things. In the quant group today and during the live executions or live tape reading, excuse me, a lot of people tried catching the Judas move to that buy side up here, okay? And I've noticed, I mean, I don't know if, I know one person was taking a look at that, and I just want to address that in general, okay? So for digital time 3, the Judas goes from 9:55 to 10:20, okay? So why is this important? Why am I even marking this in general? Well, that's the start for the time models. Okay. Starts at 9:55. Now, we already had a huge move from 9:30, wiping out a bunch of buy side here, relative equal highs up here. Okay. Already took it over here, but doesn't matter. We still have highs all over here and imbalances over here. And obviously those highs up there, which is what I was trying to target into today. Okay. So having that explosive move at 9:30, what can we expect for this time interval? We can expect consolidation or time distortion, meaning price will take its time before it takes a certain or significant high. In this case, we have that higher time frame liquidity pool right up here. Okay. Now, getting rid of this time here, moving on to model 11, which is what I'll be focusing on today. All right. 10:20 to 11:10. All right. Now I'll show you guys what we were taking a look at. I personally did not take this for live today, but something that easily could have been taken, and something that would have worked out. And specifically if you like to risk the reward. Okay. So for the model 11, usually what we want to see is price move to a certain draw on liquidity. Okay, and model 11 earliest it'll start in rare cases is at 10:20, and I just want to mark one time over here, which is 10:34. All right, so you could have entered here at this low. All right, I know a lot of people wait for the low of a fair value gap. That's much lower risk to reward. So if we pop that here, your stop should be below the candle that made the bottom of that fair value gap, and your target would have been up here. Okay, partials at this high, and then your take profit is up here, right? But why I'm pointing this out specifically is at 10:34, it was almost essentially the last low, other than this move here, right down to this CE of this BISI, where the move started and pushed up. So the earliest model 11 will start usually is at 10:34. Now a lot of people ask, what can I expect for models, up or down, which direction, which bias? It doesn't matter. As long as you guys think and focus on these time intervals and the inner cycle lines, which is anything in between these intervals, that's the most important and crucial part of digital time theory. Okay, a lot of people get it confused, and I want you guys to think of these time points as an injection of volatility and where price will begin or continue to move to a certain pool of liquidity. Okay, if you had waited till 10:34, you would have essentially you wouldn't be stressed out, essentially, right? All of this entire interval, okay, from 10:20 to 10:34, which is 14 minutes, okay, you can sit out. And if you finally feel like, hey, I don't mind, risk to reward is not bad, I'll try and take an entry right at 10:34, a little after it, whenever you want. And eventually we got to those highs here. Okay, another time interval is 10:44, and then you also have 10:55 as well. Okay, and I don't want to go too deep into this, just because we save it for quant. Not trying to gatekeep. If I was gatekeeping, I wouldn't mention any of this stuff. But you use these times to look for pivot points to see if PD arrays are disrespected. In this case, I saw a couple people today caught this short down to the sell side down here with the 10:55 interval. Okay, and just to turn on the indicator here really quickly for you guys, if we take a look at this here, okay, we can see that we have a few root candles. So this line over here is your 10:34 root candle. All right, so I want you guys to pay attention to this root candle here. All right, this is that inner cycle line at 10:34. That's an important time, but more importantly, you can use the root candle as a PD array. Essentially, you can use it for a close below, close above it, premium, discount. In this case, right at 10:55, if I go a little closer, we can see this candle closed a little bit below the 10:34 root candle. Now, the other important thing that I want to note here is actually the most important thing, I would say, is SMT within the indices. Now, we didn't really have a major SMT here, but at times you will find an SMT, okay, during these time points, and it'll be an indication to short. Now, how can you get confirmation? A close below that root candle. Supposedly, let's say you were to have an SMT. I don't remember if there was one here on the Dow. Yeah, there was here, I think. Yeah. So this was an indication right over here from this high to this high here. We can see NQ took that high while Dow did not. Okay. And I believe ES was also in sync with NQ, but Dow was not. And then you eventually got that move down. So close below that 10:34 candle, root candle, essentially gave you that confirmation for a move down. I today specifically waited for this BISI to close, entered in this area here in the SIBI, and took the trade right down to here and here, these lows here. Took partials on this candle, the wick of that, and then took my final profit over here. Okay, so that's how you can use those root candles and inner cycle lines as confirmation to confirm your bias or to confirm wherever you want to target the drawn liquidity, if that makes sense. So we have a couple questions here. Hey Joshua, great to have you here. Scotty asks, Anar, do we keep the root candle today throughout the week, and how do we utilize it? So yes, usually you will draw that root candle throughout the entire week. That's the root candle for this session, similarly to 953. And essentially how you want to utilize it is almost use it as a PD array, I would say. If your bias is higher, use that root candle as a similar to weekly swings. So if you want to use that root candle for premium or discount based on the weekly chart, that's how you can use those root candles. Use it as a point of interest, and also use it as an area where price can bounce off or consolidate even at times at that root candle. Is there a way to know which interval we can sit out? Yes, great question. So as I mentioned before, I sat out all of the Judas, okay? And I know some people took that trade. So why did I sit out of Judas from 955 to 1020? It's simply because we had that larger move in the morning at 9:30. Sometimes you'll have that larger move at 8 and you'll have like a little tiny move at 9:30, and Judas will still give you that time distortion. You can see that it did create displacement here, but I would have waited. If I really was comfortable taking this, I would have waited till 9 or 10:34, if that makes sense. But because we had a big, but I'm wondering about the smaller range that you mentioned. Yeah. So are you talking about the 10? You're talking about the Model 11. Okay, so I did not take this specifically only because I was expecting them to leave these highs here and eventually drop to take these lows out here, and then 953, excuse me, root candle was down here, and I wanted to see price trade to that before and then head up to these highs. Okay, so I sat it out just because of chart experience in general, leaving equal highs. But at times what you'll see is if the move doesn't start at or after 1034, okay, so by 1044 is your next interval, then you can expect price to just consolidate for a bit until the next model, which is the 110 model that starts at 1110. In this case, at 1034, you can see a couple minutes after, price did start pushing up, and it moved. Okay, and I mentioned in the chat today, I said you really want to see this buy side be hit by 1044 or 1055, simply because it's such a small range, and you want to see that buy side be hit. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And in this case, if you look at Judas and Model 11, I mentioned this to the group today. I mentioned how Model 11 didn't really occur today in terms of a more explosive move like it usually does. I don't consider Model 11 happening based on its definition, simply because, we did hit that higher time frame drawn liquidity, but ES didn't follow specifically. One market didn't follow, and we engineered a ton of sell side. Okay, all right, and essentially what happened is we took all that sell side out, and Model 110 happened today, which is an MMXM model, all right, and we can see it's really started moving, right? The low, the last down closed candlestick, which is your little mini order block there, is at 1121, which is actually a inner cycle line for digital time theory that occurs every single day. So Model 110 did happen today, at least to those highs up here, and I know let me see here, and I know ES had a really clean one because it took an internal high out, and then eventually we got another move back down. Okay, so it was really interesting today to see how if you guys pop on these lines, okay, I'll just pop them on for you here really quick. You can see how 1121 had that push up, then we used the root candles over here, which is the 1034, same one that was used, wicked at it, and then you got a nice close, and then it used that root candle, then pushed back up to that previous high right here that we're looking at. Okay, and then right at 1138 is when price just halted. Okay, Price halted at 1138 right over here, and then moved down right to these root candles, little close below it, and then this entire interval usually, okay, I usually sit this one out all the time. Okay, for me, I don't care. It's just it doesn't look clean. Okay, and that's from 1149 to 1235 there, especially if you have clean moves here. We had liquidity targets be hit for model 11, and 110 had a nice move, considering the fact that right at 1110 we moved down to take the sell side out, and then 1121 took us up higher. All right, you could expect this to just be kind of whack. All right, and the other model that happened today that is very clean, I'm just going to show you guys here real fast, is your 1001. Look at that. That's your 13 candle. That's the earliest that 1001 will usually start, and then you'll get that move down, right? So one big thing here to note is a huge SMT here. Okay, so look at this high over here was taken on NQ, and look at this high over here, right? Huge SMT. If I was on the charts, because I left because we had a session, I would have probably shorted this exact candle because of this SMT. Okay, so you can see how these times work. They happen every single day, and it refers back to these root candles. So if you guys look over here, all these dashed lines are all root candles, okay? And they consolidate around those areas. So that's how we can use those times. We can expect time distortion. Usually after 1149, almost every single day, I usually don't touch anything unless it's something really clean and clear. Okay. Yeah, Oshi, this which section were you talking about? My bad, I missed it. Which section did you say looks like time distortion? Because usually you'll see I don't know if you were talking about 1149 area. Everything after Judas. Yeah, everything after Judas, that's, yeah, exactly. So everything after Judas in my book kind of was time distortion. I would say I didn't really like how this model was setting up, especially after 1034. It even took a bit of time, but you can see those pivot points regardless. We can for sure say 955 was your time distortion. We got displacement, but you're still able to use those time points. The really clean move of the day, in my opinion, the model that really happened was model 1001 to both ends. So 1235, and then you had that 13 move down. This one I would say is the real move for the day, specifically because we had the 953 root candle, and I wanted to see this entire imbalance zone just be hit there. Okay. Let's see here. Day trading, MMXM said in the book it mentioned something along the lines, if 3, 6, and 9 do not occur, 7 will. 7 will. Can you elaborate more? Yeah. So, in this case here, okay. So I want you guys to mark. I want everybody to mark one time today. Okay. This is one of my favorite times. All right. 1235 to 1409 is your 1001. Okay. What was this low here? Almost the low of that PM session. Okay. Little low was 1408, but look at 1409. This is a time that happens every single day. All right. So that's a very good question. If you have, for example, let's say price did this the entire day, and which it sometimes does. Okay. Up until, let's say, 1330. Okay. And it finally moves up, a little manipulation, and then heads down. Okay. So if you have a ton of time distortion, usually from 955 all the way to 1235, and sometimes even after till 1409, then your end of the day move will be explosive. So that would be your 7. Okay. So you can see here model 111 took place. At 1409, it started moving back up, and the injection of volatility is there at that PD array. Notice how right before 1409, at 1408, sometimes it'll be exact, where did we head into? We headed into this PD array right here. Okay? Right at 1409, stabbed into the CE, and then it eventually continued higher. Okay? So Usually, if 1001 happens, 111 will be a continuation. Or sometimes you'll have a day like this. I mean, it is a Monday after already a huge move in the morning. You can expect price to be kind of like this, sideways. Doesn't mean it's untradeable. It just means it's not as clean and trendy, um, if that's how you want to say it. Let's see here. With SMT on ES, YM, and NQ, how do you know which direction will prevail? Very good question as well. So here in today's situation, YM and NQ hit their all-time highs again. But if you look at ES here, okay, let's go to the higher time frame. Let's go to the 15-minute, all of them actually. In this case, ES didn't take those highs, NQ did, and if you look at Dow, Dow also did as well. You see how Dow took those highs, and ES didn't. It didn't take that high. So when you see that micro SMT, you can expect a move in the other direction. In this case, all ES did was just move right back down into the new week opening gap and into that SIBI that we were talking about before on the higher time frame, okay? So that's essentially what happened there, right? So if that higher time frame liquidity is not taken by one of the indices, one of the pairs, okay, then you can expect a reversal if you have a micro or a lower time frame SMT. In this case, we did with ES, right? And that explained that 13 o'clock 13 drop. All right, perfect. Chaos said solid model, man. At first glance, it sounded a bit complicated, but once you learn it, you could just spam it all day. Yeah, exactly. It is a little complicated at first, but you guys will be able to slowly see it. And that's why, a lot of people, they read the book and they're like, hey, I need videos. I need some sort of explanation. Once you get that, you'll kind of be able to understand it. Okay. I mean, the low for this PM session, like you guys can see over here, this time happens every single day, 1409. Okay, this is one of my favorite times when it actually plays out, and it's usually when the AM is a little choppy. Yes, we do have a book, Arrow. We have a book. It's in the DTT ebook link channel. That's Ivan's entire digital time theory book. So a lot of information in there where you can get a little, solid understanding of everything. I see Chaos and Arrow meeting each other in here. That's funny. But yeah, so does anybody have any more questions? I do see there's a ton of quant members in here, which is really nice. Not many members, but I see a lot of serious learners in here, which is great. Great to have you guys here. Great to see you guys in here. Rid of these. Sounds good, Joshua. Thank you for stopping by. Hope everything goes well. Looking forward to have you in here as well. Thanks for joining us. Oh yeah, crypto's going crazy, man. I'm just pissed off because I've been so busy I wasn't able to catch anything here. Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed, but huge move. You got that model here. You can expect your time distortion model here. Ash Wednesday with the weekly models there on Bitcoin. But yeah, crazy move. I mean, I think on Quant we had a live. I was bullish on this thing right after this move up specifically. Wanted to see this be ran through, but this SIBI will close through. I think this crypto stuff is crazy. It's gonna go much higher. Yeah, I'm gonna the tape reads. I will try and record them. I didn't record it today, so I have to remember that. But yes, tape readings will be posted some days. This recap will be posted for everybody. I'll be posting it on my YouTube. But yeah. Hell yeah, Cato. I'm glad to hear that. Definitely, take your time, look into the book. Just look into all that. Make sure you're getting the foundation. Make sure you're getting everything. Because it takes time. It's not something that'll happen overnight. It is harder than like some theories out there. This will take some time, but it'll it'll work out. It'll all go well soon once you get it down. Are there any videos explaining London session models? I am only able. Yeah. So Udam, if you look at the quant members category, you'll be able to see the time models and lectures. All those lectures Ivan and I have posted should be in there. Ivan discusses some of the Asia and London. I will be posting some Asia and London soon. Some lecture videos for you guys as well, because I know there's a lot of people in here who trade Asia and London. So those will bring out more of those. But there's already lots of lectures on them. If you look in the quantum members category, that's only available to quant members. You should see all that stuff in there. Cato, we're working on that. We're trying to get everything published and sell those hard copies. So very soon, hopefully. Is there a way to download or print the book? So if you get the book, and again, I'm gonna post the link here. Let's try to find it. So in here, if you purchase the book, you will be able to download the book through that. Okay. In terms of printing the book, you guys can print the book yourselves. We don't have anything against that. As long as you guys have purchased the book. I know there's a lot of people out there who aren't respecting Ivan's work there. But that's a whole different story. How do we download it? So if you purchase it, you should get an email. You should be able to purchase it on WAP, and you'll get an email to grab access to the book, or you can check in your WAP dashboard, and you'll be able to download the entire PDF from there. All right. Are there any more questions before I head out here? All right, so I am going to end the recording here for you all on YouTube or whoever's taking a look at this for the recaps. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, hop in the Discord and ask us those questions as well. We're here to teach. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Always pick people's brains. All right.